Principal residence is a really important consideration when we're doing our cottage succession planning. Almost everything that we own is subject to tax, and one of the very few exemptions is your principal residence, which you may buy 10 years ago and it's doubled in value, but when you sell it, it's not taxed. Most things, investments, cottages, anything other than a principal residence will be subject to tax. And so when we're trying to pass on the cottage to another generation, we've got to figure out the tax, and the best way to do it is to treat the cottage as a principal residence. There's a lot of misunderstanding about the definition of principal residence. Many people think I've got to live there more than half a year. I only have a water accessible cottage. I can't even pretend to treat it as my principal residence, but that's not true. The definition of principal residence is a residential property owned by a Canadian resident and used by or occupied by the owner or his or her family during that tax year. So frequently we will have, for example, grandma that no longer comes up to the cottage. She lives in a senior's residence. And yet we can still use the principal residence exemption because it's a residential property owned by her and used by her family during the year. Principal residence doesn't mean that's where you live all the time or even most of the time. So long as it's used by family members in the year, then it can still qualify for the tax exemption that you tie to the principal residence that you choose. And you can choose to treat the cottage or your home as your principal residence, whichever works out best for tax purposes. You only have to declare or make a decision about which is your principal residence when you dispose of a property. So if you sell your house or gift your cottage, then you've got to make a decision, and it's only in that year that you have to come out of the closet and say which is the principal residence for tax purposes.